mastermind reviled.
How could you do this to our people? I was sent to destroy the leader of the thieves, not my own flesh and blood.
Then do your duty, my daughter.
Hello guys, this is Isaac, the creator of Chris African Tales. I know many of you want to know the secret, but just stay tuned, like, subscribe, stay tuned.
In the beautiful and vibrant village of Ebuku, there lived a man named Chief Obinna, who was known by every single child, youth, and elder because his wealth was so vast that it seemed to fall from the sky like rain during the wet season. He lived in a magnificent mansion with massive golden gates that opened up to a compound filled with the most expensive cars anyone had ever seen in the entire country. Yet nobody in the village could ever point to a single marketplace stall, a farm, or an office building where Chief Obinna actually went to work to earn his massive fortune. Every morning, he would dress up in beautifully tailored traditional clothes made of the finest lace and silk, smile warmly at his neighbors, and hand out crisp money notes to the poor. But whenever the curious village elders tried to politely ask him about the secret behind his endless success, he would simply laugh softly and change the subject by talking about the beautiful weather or the upcoming village festivals. This deep and unsettling mystery did not only worry the outsiders of Ebuku, but it also grew into a heavy black cloud inside Chief Obinna's own household because his kind and hard-working wife Adana could no longer sleep at night while wondering what kind of business her husband was truly hiding from the world. She would sit by the window for many hours watching him count massive stacks of money in the dark, and though she loved the comfortable life he provided, her heart trembled with the terrifying fear that this wealth might be coming from a dangerous or dishonest place that would eventually bring shame upon their family name. One quiet evening after the servants had gone to sleep, Adana sat her husband down and begged him with tears in her eyes to tell her the simple truth about his job, explaining that she would happily live in a tiny mud hut with him as long as they had peace of mind. But Chief Obinna became unusually cold and firmly refused to share his secrets, stating that a good wife should only enjoy the comfort provided without asking too many difficult questions. Because the wall of silence between them grew taller and colder every single day, Adana realized she could no longer raise her children in a house built on secrets, which ultimately led to a heartbreaking and painful divorce that shook the entire village of Ebuku to its very core. Chief Obinna was deeply saddened by the departure of his wife, but he poured all of his remaining love, energy, and immense wealth into protecting and spoiling his most beloved daughter, Chidera, who was the absolute brightness of his eyes and the center of his entire world. He promised himself that even though her mother was gone, Chidera would never feel a single moment of lack, so he immediately enrolled her into the most exclusive and expensive private boarding schools in the country where only the children of kings and presidents could afford to study. As the years passed by, little Chidera grew up beautifully within the walls of these elite schools, surrounded by top quality teachers and luxurious books, completely unaware of the heavy sadness that had separated her parents, but always feeling the fierce protective love of her father, who visited her constantly with bags full of gifts and sweet words of encouragement. Chief Obinna watched his intelligent daughter excel in all her lessons, with immense pride swelling in his chest, knowing that he was successfully building a glorious future for her, while Chidera looked at her father as her ultimate hero, promising herself that she would study with all her might to become a powerful protector of the innocent and make him the proudest father in the whole of Nigeria. With her father's continuous financial backing and her mother's lingering prayer for her safety, Chidera completed her advanced studies at the top of her class, earning a prestigious degree that allowed her to immediately apply to the elite National Police Academy, where she intended to fulfill her childhood dream of protecting the innocent. From the very first day she stepped into the academy grounds, She stood out among her peers because she possessed a rare combination of brilliant, sharp intelligence, sharp observation skills, and an unbreakable determination to succeed by her own merit rather than relying on her father's influential name. Chief Obinna was incredibly proud of his daughter's ambition, and he used his immense wealth to ensure she lacked absolutely nothing during her rigorous training, renting a beautiful private apartment near the academy grounds and providing her with premium supplies, though he secretly wished she had chosen a much safer and less stressful career path. The physical and mental demands of the academy were notoriously difficult, with long hours spent under the hot sun, running drills, studying complex criminal law, and learning tactical strategies. But Chidera never once complained or requested special treatment because she wanted to prove to herself and to the entire nation that she was truly capable of leadership. She pushed herself to the absolute limit in every single physical test and tactical simulation, quickly catching the attention of the high-ranking police commanders, who saw in her the exact kind of brilliant, uncorruptible mind that the modern police force desperately needed to combat the rising wave of organized crime across the country. Her instructors were constantly amazed at how quickly she could analyze a complicated crime scene or develop a flawless strategy to outsmart simulated criminal groups. And it became clear to everyone that she was fast-tracked for a historically rapid promotion within the law enforcement hierarchy. Upon her spectacular graduation, where she received the highest honors and multiple awards for excellence, Chidera was immediately commissioned as a high-ranking officer, and due to her exceptional record and unmatched strategic brilliance, she quickly rose through the ranks over the next few years until she achieved the incredible title of Police Chief Executive Officer. This monumental achievement made her one of the youngest and most powerful decision makers in the history of the entire police force, giving her command over hundreds of specialized officers and the authority to lead major national security operations. Chief Obinna threw a massive, lavish celebration in Ebuku that lasted for 3 whole days to honor his daughter's world-class achievement, inviting dignitaries from all over Nigeria to witness the greatness of his beloved child. Yet even during the grand feast, Chidera noticed the same familiar, mysterious men whispering to her father in the dark corners of the compound, a sight that brought back a small flicker of her mother's old worries, though she quickly brushed it aside to focus on the heavy national responsibilities now resting squarely on her young shoulders. Not long after her grand celebration in the village of Ebuku, Police CEO Chidera returned to the national headquarters, where a heavy atmosphere of urgency and worry filled the main briefing rooms, because a clever and highly organized group of thieves had been terrorizing a distant Nigerian village, completely baffling the local authorities by stealing valuable properties, historical artifacts, and livestock without leaving a single trace behind. The Inspector General of Police personally called Chidera into his private office to hand her the official mission file, explaining that this specific case required the absolute best strategic mind in the country because the thieves operated with military-like precision and always seemed to know exactly when the local security guards were changing shifts. Chidera accepted the high-stakes assignment with a firm salute and an absolute determination in her heart, promising her superiors that she would dismantle this criminal network completely and bring peace back to the innocent villagers who were living in constant fear of losing everything they owned. She immediately went to work by handpicking a team of highly trained tactical commandos who were known for their absolute loyalty, extreme discipline, and ability to move like quiet ghosts in the dark forests that surrounded the targeted village. For 3 days and 3 nights, Chidera sat under the bright lights of her command center, studying detailed maps of the village terrain, analyzing the patterns of the past robberies, and setting up a flawless, secret ambush strategy that would trap the thieves the very next time they attempted to strike. She communicated with her team using coded radios, ensuring that no outsider could intercept their plans. and she ordered her officers to disguise themselves as regular farmers and traders so they could blend perfectly into the local community without raising any suspicion from the criminal lookouts. When the night of the operation finally arrived, a thick blanket of darkness covered the village, and Chidera led her elite squad through the thick bushes and tall grasses, positioning them strategically around the main warehouses where the village kept its most valuable treasures and community goods. She crouched low in the shadows with her heart beating steadily, checking her equipment and keeping her eyes fixed on the empty roads while waiting patiently for the criminals to walk directly into her carefully prepared trap. The hours passed slowly, in complete silence, until the midnight air grew cold, and suddenly, the faint sound of heavy truck engines and quiet footsteps echoing from the edge of the forest signaled to Chidera that the mysterious group of thieves had finally arrived to carry out their next big raid. As the heavy trucks came to a complete halt near the main village warehouse, a group of strongly built men, dressed in dark clothing, jumped out of the vehicles and began moving with quiet speed to break the heavy iron locks on the storage doors, completely unaware that police CEO Chidera and her elite commandos were watching their every move from the deep shadows of the surrounding bushes. Chidera waited for the perfect moment when all the thieves were fully focused on loading the stolen community properties into their trucks. And with a swift, silent hand signal to her officers, she initiated the ambush, causing bright tactical flashlights to pierce through the midnight darkness and loud, commanding voices to echo across the compound as the police completely surrounded the criminals. The thieves were completely caught off guard by the sudden trap and immediately dropped their tools in panic, realizing they were heavily outnumbered and outmaneuvered by a highly trained government force that left them absolutely no room to escape or fight back. With her service weapon held firmly and safely at her side, Chidera walked majestically through the circle of captured men to personally identify the leader of this notorious syndicate, calling out for the man who was directing the operations from the front seat of the leading truck to step out into the open with his hands raised. The truck door opened slowly, and as the tall man stepped into the bright glare of the police flashlights, Chidera's breath caught tightly in her throat, and her entire world seemed to stand completely still because the face looking back at her with absolute shock and shame was none other than her own father, Chief Obinna. The heavy golden wristwatch on his arm glinted under the lights, the very same watch he had worn while celebrating her promotions and funding her elite education with the secret, dishonest wealth that had torn her family apart so many years ago. A painful, heavy silence fell over the compound as the proud police chief executive officer stood face to face with the loving father who had spoiled her with riches, finally revealing the terrifying truth about where his mysterious fortune had always come from. Chief Obinna dropped his head in deep sorrow, unable to look his brilliant daughter in the eyes, while Chidera felt a tear slip down her cheek as she realized that her highest professional victory had just become her deepest personal heartbreak, leaving her with the ultimate test of her duty to the law versus her love for her family.